So this all went down, I think, exactly 1 year after COVID started. I did all of this with my buddy Forrest. Forrest and I are both grad students at University of Arizona. So we're both in the physics program. So he's one of the very first people I met in Tucson. And he is super gung-ho about adventure, which is great. And he found out I was really gung-ho about adventure. So we're always teaming up on these little trips together. We were teaching at the time. We were both TAs at the university, and we were both really pissed off because as a COVID measure, the university had split up spring break so that people couldn't travel because they were trying to prevent students from traveling, which is really frustrating because I had to teach, and so I also lost my sort of week off, and I like to go take that as a backpacking trip or a climbing trip. So I'm not really going to party on the beach in Florida and get super sick. I just wanted to go out into the wilderness, but I couldn't do that. 2 of the days that they had given us were on either side of a weekend. We had a Friday and a Monday, and so we figured we would take advantage of that to go to this place that we had both been looking at on the map called Dark Canyon, which is this crazy cool looking tributary of the Colorado River somewhere in southern Utah up on the Colorado Plateau. So just the topography looked really cool. I think we had both at previous times noticed it on a map, and we both wanted to go check it out. So we decided to take advantage of these 4 days, this 4-day weekend. So we were just gonna boogie up there, do a 2-day backpacking trip and head back. It's 9 hours from Tucson or something, maybe longer. So we get ready to go, and what happens every time Forrest and I try to go do something in the desert together, there's a little bit of rain in the forecast. So the forecast starts to turn as we're on our way up there, and we start to get a little bit worried because rain in a canyon can be really bad news. The canyon can flood, and you don't want to be down there when that's happening. So we're driving up, and I think we get as far as Flagstaff, and the weather is not looking any better as we keep checking. The weather is now saying that it might even snow on us while we're going up there. So we're worried about what this is gonna be like, but we don't know that much about the canyon. We've never been there before, so we don't know how big is the drainage basin. If it rains, how likely is the canyon to flood? We don't really know. So I call a ranger, and the ranger tells me nothing. The ranger basically says, not my district, canyon might flood, I don't know. So it's super unhelpful. And we're passing through Flagstaff, and we decide this is our only chance really to take any time off until the semester ends in a couple months. So let's just go for it. So we go for it, even though I think we have 30-40% chance of snow and rain in the forecast. We get there, we start backpacking in. It's really, really beautiful. It doesn't look like it's gonna rain. We have blue skies when we drop into the canyon. And we start hiking up the bottom of the canyon. We're following along this little stream. And then maybe an hour before sunset, some clouds start rolling in. And it starts to drizzle a little bit. So we think the weather's coming. So we decide to try and make camp. And we decide, instead of camping, there's all these great campsites in the sand along the bank of the river. But there's also, this is exactly where the flood path would be if it does flood, and we think, well, the rain might be coming tonight, so we can't camp down here. So we decide to try and find a flat spot up high in the canyon, which is hard to do because the canyon walls are very steep.
We look all around for places to camp. We don't really find anything, except for this one perfectly flat little tower that we could scramble up to. And there was just enough room for 2 tents up on this tower.
It's I don't know, 15 feet wide and 40 feet long or something. It's not very big.
So we get up there, set up our tents, cook. It starts getting really, really windy. It starts getting hard to cook.
So we put up our tents and we eat dinner. And as we're eating dinner, the wind starts picking up. So it hasn't really picked up raining much, but it's getting super, super windy. And it's blowing our dishes around while we're trying to eat. and it's like blowing out our stoves as we're trying to cook. And super annoying, but whatever, it's just a little bit of wind. And then this finally stops long enough, so we're hanging out, we're thinking this is miserable, I hope the weather doesn't get worse. Finally, the wind dies down for a minute, and we hurry up and clean up all of our dishes from dinner, and then we start getting ready for bed. And as we're doing this, the wind picks up again, and it's way heavier now. It's so strong that it's like trying to blow our tents away. At one point, my tent's blowing away, and I grab it, and the wind blows it into me, and then snaps the pole on my tent, because I'm holding it still. So this is fine, because I have a tent splint, so I put in my tent splint, and then I throw my bag in my tent, and I hammer it down with stakes as best as I can, because we're basically just on this big flat rock, so there's not really a way to hammer things in. And we both crawl into our tents, and we're just kind of laying there in the wind as it's like rattling the walls of our tent.
The walls of my tent, and it's a new tent, and it's a nice tent, they start caving in on me and just whacking me. Like the poles start bending and snapping me in the head.
And blowing so hard that it's flattening our tents down into our faces, so my whole tent is just like being flattened against me in the wind. So it's really hard to sleep. And in the midst of all of this, Forrest asks me from his tent a few feet away,
should we be worried? And he's in the other tent on the other side. And all I remember is him shouting back,
there's nothing we can do about it, so no. And I'm drifting slowly off to sleep in the mayhem. And next thing I remember, I wake up and I'm airborne. And it is as if I've been laying in my tent and some large giant has come and just picked me up and thrown me like you might, like a bed sheet onto a bed.
I see in the direction of his tent nothing but a series of sparks as the tent fabric is slipping against itself. And then I see the tent pick up onto its side, flip over, and take to the sky. The man's a kite. The man is a kite.
I'm vertical in the air and like moving through it. I freak out, I turn around and I dive through the bottom of my tent. I just sort of like claw my way through it and land on the ground.
Next thing I see is just two little hands that push through the tent fabric and grab onto the end of the dirt near the ledge.
My tent, like what's left of it, just shatters on the ground and is wrapped around my ankles and blowing me off towards the edge of the cliff while I'm sort of just clawing the dirt and trying to hold on. And eventually there's this, finally like there's a lull. The gust is really long, but it stops. And then I can get up and Forrest comes out of his tent. We're like, what the hell happened? This crazy gust of wind. And we think like we're doomed because this gust of wind has got to be like a sign of things to come. So I like put a rock, I think, or whatever on what's left of my tent. I crawl into Forrest's tent with him, put my bag in there because we're thinking he's probably next. He's luckily a lot bigger than I am, so there's less of a chance of us both blowing away in his tent. And we're wondering, like, is the storm of the century about to come down on us? Like, how big is this monsoon? That's definitely got to be headed our way. So we look on his inReach, this Garmin inReach, which lets us check the weather via satellite connection. And we look to see if we have to like leave right now. And it says for the weather, moderate breeze.
We left the next morning. Yeah, Caleb wanted to stay, of course. Yeah, he wanted to stay after that. He thought the next little side canyon up the way would look cool. And I bet you it would.